So there are three ways that we actually self-sabotage ourselves with this pop psychology and new age paradigm. It's been extraordinarily helpful, just, the theme itself, for people to continue to grow forward. But some things have gotten a little bit out of balance. And these things, we don't even realize that we are sabotaging ourselves in the process. And through my social psychology studies, I've just discovered the most fascinating things that are just the opposite of what we believe is true. And then you really think about it and you go, oh my God, it actually really makes sense. So the first thing I want to talk about, which will be in this first video, is that saying you can't make anybody feel anything and everyone's responsible for their own feelings. Well, if you are spiritually evolved enough and aware enough, this is absolutely true. And this comes from, the perception of, if you have a difficulty in your life, you really can, if you have the time and the ability to self-reflect, and not everybody has that ability, but to really sit and self-reflect with a lot of practice, you can shift how you feel about things by, working through them, by shifting your perspective in the world. So yes, this is actually true. But here's where the tricky part comes in. I've seen it happen where, people think, well, everyone's responsible for their own feelings, so I can just do whatever I want to do. And how I show up in the world isn't going to impact anything. Well, actually, we have a lot of power that we don't even realize we have because of this paradigm that's kind of taken over in some areas. We forget the power we have to just brighten someone's day. So think about it. If you're in a checkout line, I always take the grocery store. Grocery store is a great example for real world things, and you get the checkout person and they're really bitchy. And then, someone else and behind the line is really bitchy and mad and yells, and you just kind of come out of there going, whoa, okay, I just need to rebalance myself. So that's one type of experience. Next type of experience, let's say you go in, people are happy, you're happy, you compliment the checkout person, the person behind you, let someone else ahead of them. It's a good experience for everybody, right? So it's like this with everything. If you set out to brighten someone's day, even in the smallest way, that has an impact. And think about it, even those times in your life, when someone has made some offhanded remark that you just kind of get stunned and it affects you. Those things affect people. We talk about in the schools, there's a lot going on. My son is in elementary school. There's a lot of talk about, how do you deal with bullying? And this is one example of how your behavior actually does impact another person. So, we kind of need to take responsibility for ourselves and our actions and know that what we say and how it comes across to people really has a lot of power. So we have more power to change the world in our daily interactions with people. Just, very simple things just that we do, maybe in the work environment, how can you brighten someone's day or you actually have the power to make someone's day miserable. You actually completely have that power. Now you can say, oh, well, it shouldn't really matter, whatever I say or do because everyone's responsible for their own feelings. But also what we need to realize is not everybody is in that place to take responsibility for their own feelings. Some people actually have post-traumatic stress syndrome. Think about, our soldiers and what happens. Something can trigger those things. People from abused, childhoods, that something can trigger that. And then next thing you know, they're in a downward spiral. They're in depression. So the point of this really is just to bring the awareness back that yes, when you are self-aware and have done some work on yourself, then you can be responsible for how you feel and how you make yourself feel. And you can go within and you can you shift your perception. But to also know your power in the world of making it a much more beautiful place just by being kind to people around you and realizing the impact that we can have just, by saying nice things to people. So Take some kindness and pass it on today. And the next video is number 2, what we do to self-sabotage ourselves.